Hello, it's Andy. I'm in the woodshed and I'm having a few practice shots with a longbow I've made. Now, this longbow has took a lot of time and effort to get to this point. It's not what I wanted, it's not what I was looking for, and it's in no way a representation of an English longbow. It is of the style and genre being a one piece of wood, but I've learnt through hard lessons of snappages, which are on my other videos, that my design that I'm applying to the bow is wrong. And even with this one, I can see I'm going to have to make adjustments to make it more powerful and indeed that more robust and be able to hold up to the rigours and stresses placed on this on the wood when it's using the mechanics and the physics involved in launching an arrow. Now, this bow here is put together, as you saw, with everything I had kicking around my workshop. I haven't invested no money in this. The bow itself is a stave that I've been able to get locally. It's just paracord and a bit of masking tape to give me a slightly more comfortable handle, and it's been put on the actual string to allow the notches of the arrow to sit more comfortably. I very quickly learned why that was there when it's harder to get an arrow to stay in place. Now, I don't have proper arrows, so I went and bought a cheap pack of garden arrows just to practice. Like I said, everything about this is turned into a practice. It started out as a dream to produce the real English longbow, but I've now got my expectations down to producing a garden bow with some cheap bought arrows, and I've been able to enjoy practicing the art of archery. Obviously none of this is going to give me any performance, and I have a bonfire lit there, so hence the smoke. But I'm just going to conclude this episode and also say this is by no means the end, it's only the beginning. I now have the bug and I want to keep going and going and going till I produce as good a representation as I can of an English longbow. This is only my first attempt to get arrows down range in a semi, not, I won't use the word professional, but a semi, I will use the word competent way, and I believe that I'm being able to do that. I'm shooting over about 36 feet, not far, almost just the width of my garden, but I'm able to put this arrow in a bag size target, I would say 4 times out of 5. So my archery is beginning to improve. I'm struggling with the bower's paradox, which is, if you look at a bow, the bowstring to the actual bow, the bowstring draws to the center of the bow, which means the arrow doesn't fire straight. Indeed, what it's doing is going off in the direction the bow itself is pushing it, even though the string is coming back to the center point. That means there's still a portion of the bow that is deflecting the actual arrow from where you're actually potentially aiming. That's called the bower's paradox, and you are always trying to compensate for that to where this goes. I'm struggling with that. Like I said, I'm new to all this. Everything about this art form is a learning curve and I'm enjoying it. But I'm just going to take you over to and show you exactly what I'm doing here, just so you can see me put a few arrows down range and the end result. You can see I've got a bonfire using up the last of the sawdust and bits and bobs of wood, before it rains. It's due to rain next week, but that's obviously creating a slight bit of smoke for myself. Right then, as you can see, I've put the targets in a nice safe place. I've got a good backstop as a hedge, I've got bushes there, and I've got fields behind me. I'm in no danger due to my novice status of actually putting an arrow in anybody's direction. I'm just using some bags full of shavings, and if you look over this bag, you can see I've got a fair number of hits there. So that gives you a representation that I am at least hitting something of this size. So from this corner of my garden, I'm now facing over to the east side, and I'll pace out exactly where I'm shooting from. And I've just measured this, and it's 36 feet going at this angle over to here. Looking back down through, you can see the bag down there. Sorry about the bonfire smoke. I don't want to stop it because obviously we've got rain forecast soon, so I'm trying to get rid of any rubbish I've got. But you can quite clearly see the bag over there. It is a big enough target, and obviously some people would be laughing at this, but you've got to bear in mind the bow I've got, and me as a novice, total novice, this is all part of the learning curve. You can see the arrow, me aiming for, I was aiming here and I was hitting high. I am struggling like with the bowyer's paradox, and you can actually see where the arrows, these being cheap plastic ones and they're not feathers, are catching the bow, and indeed they're beginning to destroy themselves, and that's giving you an indication that it's throwing itself off target. But I'm working with what I've got. Right, I'm beginning to lose light. It is the last part of the day, and yeah, this is just to conclude those videos that I've got online already. As you can see, like I said, it's a rough and ready put together bow, but I'm having fun with it, and like I said, I've got the bug to go further. Now this bag here, I'm going to try and get one to hit it, and you'll hear it's got quite a thump and quite a bit of power that goes into it. Obviously this bow, since I made it and I've been using it, it has dropped in power significantly, and it seems to have settled where it is. And I suspect if I was to put this on the tiller and draw it down to see what sort of weight it's pulling, I would reckon it's probably about 15 to 20 pound, which is kind of okay for the distance I'm shooting here in the garden, you know, just to practice and indeed safety. But I do want more. That's just a fact of life. When you're doing something and you know you can get better and extract more out of your equipment, you do seek to do that. And I am already planning my next bow. So I'm going to see if I can get one in here so you guys can hear it, and yeah, just bear with me while I set myself up. Hopefully that won't twist. So there you go. Sorry for the wait as I walked backwards, but as you can see, it hit it with a nice resounding thud, and it's satisfying. And it's this that's given me the bug to go further. And I hope you can appreciate, even though this is really just a backyard simple put together bow and is far from its original concept, it's given me that drive now to push further forward for that. Yeah, so I'm just going to conclude that. You can see what I've done, what I've produced, and indeed if you look back through you can see my journey to arrive at this particular bow. Now I'm beginning to lose light. I'm going to go in and have a coffee and do what's got to be done tonight. And before I go in, I'll probably just put another couple arrows into that bag just because it's enjoyable. So I hope you enjoyed that and see that you too can make a bow from just a piece of wood that you can source yourself in the English countryside. It's enjoyable, it's fun, it is cheap, and on top of that it's satisfying. And indeed this was at one point a object every man and boy would have to master for his service if his country called on him. But we don't have to be proficient for that anymore, and it's just left for people like myself and others just to enjoy doing something that our ancestors would have done. Now, like I said, I hope you've enjoyed that, and just look back through my videos and see the journey, how I've got here. And yeah, all the best. It's Andy from Folklore Hiking Sticks.